First up, looking for approval of the agenda.
I'd like to make amendment to the agenda, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I'd like to amend the agenda to add a verbal report from the clerk following the Register of Deed report, please.
We'll make that Register of Deeds would be F1 and the clerk's report would be F2. Any other additions or changes? And that was in the form of a motion, I assume? Motion and support. All in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, the same. Carried. Public comment period. Hello, public. Any public comments? Hearing none. Moving on to committee items, looking for approval of the April 8th minutes. Motion and support. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. First up on appointments is the jury board. And this is a appointment that typically has a recommendation from the court. Did not have it last month, but it's there this month. And I would entertain a motion.
I'd like to make the motion to nominate, to follow the Honorable Tom Wilson's appointment suggestion with Judith Whiteman, please.
There is support? Support. Motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Appointment for the JTA, Jackson Transportation Authority. It appears we have...
I will nominate Sarah Leitner.
Second. Okay. Motion and support for Sarah Leitner. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. South Central Michigan Works Biannual Report. Do we have anybody from South Central Michigan Works here? If you'd step right up and identify yourself, sir.
My name is Justin Gifford. I'm the Community Relations Officer with South Central.
I'm sorry, can you give your name again, sir, please?
Justin Gifford.
Okay, thank you.
Mike Jones was supposed to present some numbers this morning. He can't be here, so I'm going to try to go through the presentation that he sent over to you guys and give a brief update on what we're seeing.
Adam, do we have that up on the screen, or can we get it up on the screen or not?
Oh, he sent it over. I'm not sure who got it, though.
Justin, if you give us just a minute here. The commissioners have it open in their packets and the board docs.
Okay.
It's a pretty large file, it looks like. But Adam, it looks like you've done that before.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Okay, the first slide Mike put together is unemployment in Jackson County at a glance. Currently, we're sitting at 8.3%. You see that this time last year we're down. We've started to see some influx in hiring. I know that there's a transition from people from Consumers Energy moving over to HCL, which is now in the Commonwealth building on the 5th floor. They're looking at starting to bring in more production staff for them within the next couple months. The next slide is non-farm payroll, looking at all metro areas. We're showing a monthly change of 300 for total non-farm. This is some of the current activities that our business services team is currently working on. We've made a total of 1,132 business contacts, 3,499 open jobs in the Tri-County area, of which 1,795 were filled. We're working, SEMW participated in 2 rather large rapid responses. One was down in Hillsdale County for the Manor. We're currently putting together a upgrade to the Mach 1 internet services, so we can start utilizing that for more training. Some of the feedback we were getting from our business clients was that you get 4 or 5 people on the network and it's almost dial-up speed, so we're looking into upgrading that right now. And I believe that's all I had.
Thank you, Justin. Any questions from commissioners? Julie?
Thank you, Mr. Gifford. On slide 3, the heading states non-farm payroll, and that data there is included. Can you explain to me why the farm industry is taken out of that data there? Why is it collected different, or why is it reported differently? Do you know?
I do not, but I can find out.
Okay.
I'll ask Mike where they're pulling their information and what that's for.
Yeah, just kind of found it interesting of all the industries that one is separated. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Justin, thank you. Moving on to the Circuit Court Quarterly Report. Charles Adkins.
Present and accounted for, sir.
Charles?
Yes, sir.
Can you switch this back? Sure. There you go. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. I don't know if I should call it spring, back to fall, or early winter. Well, we've had a busy quarter. We've had some good things. We've had some not so good things. We've been pretty busy as far as the number of cases and some of the serious crimes that have been committed lately. We've had several high-profile trials that you've seen. Some were CSC, some were other capital cases. Unfortunately, we do have several more in the pipeline. On a more positive note, our recovery court, I think everyone may have seen an article or two that was in the Citizen Patriot, that we did have the highest number of graduates at one time, about 2 months ago, at 16. The largest number prior to that I can remember was 10 or just below 10. They have applied for a couple additional federal grants to help support and expand some of the services that we do provide, and one of them was looking at a veterans court model. We'll have to see where that goes, if we do get any planning money for that. Judge LaFlamme is continuing to work on his local administrative orders that will run the business court, and we're still in line to have that on board by July 1st. I will entertain any questions anyone may have.
Commissioners, any questions? Charles, thank you.
Thank you, David.
Amanda, Register of Deeds, or Mona?
Good morning. I'm here to present the 2012 annual report. I can say 2012, can't hear me? Now can you? 2012 was a much better year than years past. As we all noticed, the economy seems to be turning around, and in the Register of Deeds office, we saw in 2012 an increase in most every area. As you notice in our revenue accounts, all were up. We recorded 11 coroners in 2012. We had 42 surveys. In regards to documents, those again all increased. We've seen quite a large jump in mortgages, deeds, discharges, county transfer tax for the year 2012. We had $298,839.20 collected. I can tell you, included in that total is $16,673.95, which is in regards to the Fannie Mae recordings where they're paying in protests. I'll go into some of that a little later in the lawsuits. State transfer tax, we collected $1,789,762, which we forward that entire amount over to the state treasurer. Our microfilm and copy revenue, of course, increased. And out of that copy total, $11,723 was purchase of copies using credit cards. In October of 2011, so 2012 was our first full year of allowing credit card use online to purchase copies. Our microfilm and copy revenue is a service generated, and we continue to add historical documents online for that purpose of customers being able to search by either land description or library page and name. Along with the imaging revenue, our department does all the setup and security levels for anyone online who wants to set up an account. In 2012, we collected $101,068 for the Remon program. We recorded 65 remonumentation corners. And land search, this area is not considered part of public record, and there's fees charged for using this. That's when they search by a section, town, and range of legal description. And we collected $27,150 in revenue for land search. Now, if a customer comes in and is doing this research for themselves, there is no charge. The only time it's charged is title companies, attorneys, someone that's using our track index for the purpose of a profit. You can see the recording comparisons. We recorded no plats in 2012 and no condominiums. And our sheriff deed totals were again down for 2012. And this year, between January and April, we're 59 below the same time the previous year. So that's looking good. Are there any questions in regards to any of those so far?
Mona, just one for me. What, if you know ballpark, what percentage of the coroners in the county are done?
Oh,
Do you have any idea?
you could ask Dean Gudikins, the surveyor, but no.
Okay.
No, I
Thank
have
you.
no idea.
Commissioners,
We don't
any
keep track
questions?
of that.
Hearing none. Mona, thank you. Amanda, clerk update.
Good morning. Well, we had our May 7th election, and it went very smoothly. I'd like to thank Sharon and Dave of IT for being present on election night, making sure that there were no issues, and there were none. Overall, the voter turnout was 24%, and I think that was pretty good for considering the small size of the election. For our court records imaging project that I update you on each time, it's still moving along, but rather slowly. We've completed the civil workflow with help from Aaron Boyles from IT, and our next step is to do the criminal workflow, and again, just more meetings and hoping to have it up and at least in testing phase by the end of this year. We recently had a lien audit, which was pretty involved. Found some things that we do need to make a little changes on, but overall it was a good report. One of the things Mona and I are looking to do in Register of Deeds is visit Hillsdale County where they have e-recording and to check out their process. They have the same software program that we have, and look at implementing that here in Jackson County. The last time I reported, we were working on the shelves for our genealogy storage over at the front of the court building, and those have been completed. All the books are up on the shelves, and it looks wonderful. Veteran ID cards. As of Friday, our office had issued 517, and people are still coming in very often to get those, and they're very happy and proud that we are offering them, and I'm glad that that's a service we can provide. And we've only began issuing them about 5 months ago, so that's a pretty impressive number. Our customer counts, in January, mid-January, we started counting the number of customers that come to each of our windows. So for court services, in February, we had 2,709 customers. So with 4 clerks, it's an average of about 677 customers they dealt with. In March, we saw 3,028 for an average of 757. And in April, we saw 3,427 for an average of 857. And then for vitals, which only has 2 full-time and 1 part-time, we saw 1,619 in February, 1,769 in March, and 2,018 in April. So you can see a steady increase. So we're busy. And with cases and petitions filed, first quarter last year, we had 1,701, and this year, 1,747. Seeing an increase. Births are up. We had 511 last quarter, 520 this first quarter. Deaths, 526. This year, 624. Marriages stayed exactly the same at 216. DBAs, they're down slightly from 240. They're 225 this first quarter. And CPLs, they were 487 last year, 1,054 this year. So huge increase, 567 more. And we are still holding steady with the divorce packets that we're selling, which is revenue and provides a good service for pro per litigants. We sold 151 last quarter, first quarter of 2012, and 124 of this year. So doing pretty well. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions? Hearing none. Amanda, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Brownfield redevelopment, I think I see Debbie Kelly here.
Hi, good morning.
How are you this morning?
Good, thank you. You have the memo in front of you. I won't bore you by reading through it verbatim, but we've had a great 6 months for the Jackson County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. A couple things I would like to point out, though. On your second page under item number 6, other updates, item B, EnviroLogic as well as BRA staff, we're planning a community outreach breakfast, kind of a Brownfields 101, if you will, talk about changes to the new legislation, things like that. So you're all invited. If you'd like to attend, please let me know sometime maybe in the next week. My phone number and my email address are posted. And the other thing I would like to update everyone on is we found out late Thursday afternoon that the JCBRA was not funded by the EPA for our assessment grants. Although very bad news, Amy and I are going to have to get a little creative and figure out how we can continue doing brownfields here in Jackson County, which will continue to occur. We have a great environmental consultant in EnviroLogic, and so they're looking at different ideas with DEQ and things like that, so we can find some funding for some projects that come up in the future. But other than that, are there any questions, concerns?
Commissioners, any questions? Mike?
Any thoughts on why we were not funded?
We've heard that 50% of all the applicants that were new, that had never been funded before, they wanted to fund new authorities. So 50% of all the grant funds were awarded to new authorities that had never received funding before. So that only gave us a 50% window, and it's very, very competitive. Probably because we've had so many in the past, but we have been successful with our grants. So we're going to keep trying. We're going to keep trying.
Debbie, the old Spartan site on Ganson Street, that's one I think the county has taken back for back taxes. That's still a mess out there. What are the chances of ever getting any help with that through BRA or anybody else, do you think?
I think it's very likely. We can talk with Amy about it and Envirologic and see where we can go from there for next steps. Sure. I'll make a note of that.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any other questions? Thanks, Deb.
I'll move on to EDC if I may. Okay. Again, you have the memo in front of you. We haven't had a lot of EDC activity in the last 6 months. We've had a couple loan applications that haven't quite been fundable, but we have been reviewing them very well. We have a great loan review committee. We do have about $310,000 in our revolving loan fund that we need to get back out into the community. So if you hear of any companies that need financial assistance and they're working with their primary lender, give Amy and I a call, and we will try and work with them as well. Our 2012 audit is underway. We did have a loan closing back in November for Midbrook Industrial Washers Incorporated for $200,000. And we promote our revolving loan fund when Amy goes and visits companies. And with that, I'll entertain any questions, concerns.
Commissioners, anything on EDC? Hearing none. Thank you again.
Thanks, everyone.
Next up, airport contract with Adams Outdoor. I think I saw Kent Maurer.
Morning. This is an agreement with Adams Outdoor to move a billboard that's on airport property. It wasn't airport property until we purchased the Taluki parcel. And the reason it needs to be moved is because it's in too close of a proximity to the new runway. And it's situated at the corner of M60 and Michigan Avenue now. And they're going to move it to the north. It would be moved to the intersection of Woodville Road and M60 if Woodville Road were to continue across there. That's still airport property. I can tell you that Adams has been very cooperative and extremely patient in this process. It could be an eminent domain matter, but they've agreed to move it. And all they're being compensated for is a reimbursement of their expenses not to exceed $25,000. So they're really not being compensated for the move. They've agreed to move it, and that's the proposal before you. The contract or the cost we paid by an existing MDOT aeronautics grant for which we've already paid our match.
Thank you, Ken. I will say that I had a conversation with Ken on Friday. I got through my board packet a little early, and I questioned, I initially thought it was a little odd having a contract with a company to move their own board to somewhere else, but after Kent gave me the details about it, just time and material made sense. And of course, certainly if they have an issue, they have only themselves to complain about if they don't get something done right. So,
yeah, and it's been reviewed by legal counsel, and he did add an additional clause in there that it would not exceed $25,000. The initial one was a little bit more open-ended. So,
any other questions from commissioners? Now we're looking for a motion. Motion and support. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thanks, Ken.
thank you.
JC dot, I think I saw Joe Michalski here or somebody from Road Commission, huh? Who's reporting? And I will say it was a long, detailed report.
Yeah, I don't think you want me to go over all of those. I mean, I'll start out with the federal aid issues there, and these are the things that are discussed at our JAX meeting, so a lot of you have heard these. O'Brien Road Bridge, of course, is almost done. I think we would have been done by now if they didn't have some electrical issues at the asphalt plant. Barrett Paving is going to be doing that, so they're going to finish building the road this week and start paving on Monday. So we should see completion hopefully before the holiday weekend. And we'll have one project in the books and out of the way. East Michigan is starting today, so if you're heading out that way, follow the posted detour. We did issue a temporary traffic control order for a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit out there, and our fine fellows from the Jackson County Sheriff's Office would be glad to write tickets if they so choose to. So keep that in mind. Wildwood Avenue, the railroad crossing project out there, our contractor wants to wait until the railroad gets done, so we're waiting to see when they're going to come in. It sounds like it could be pushed back a little bit, and we don't want to get in there and make our road 3 lanes with only a 2-lane crossing gate, so that's the issue right now. So we got to hold off until they get done with that. And Folks Road Bridge, that's our federal aid project out in Pulaski Township. We had the pre-construction meeting. Contractor will be starting after the July the 1st, probably after the 4th actually, because you have to wait for the fish spawning season to end, and so then the contractor can get in there and start his work. And we have a couple of more, our federal aid chip seal project for Pulaski Road, Vickery Road, all the way from 127 to Brooklyn Road. It changes names about 4 times as you get through there. And Liberty Road, and so they're going to start when school gets out, and just keeps a lot less traffic off of those roads when they get done. And then we're working with MIS too in conjunction with our work on Vickery Road. We have 2 culverts to repair down there, and MIS not only has 2 huge races, but they have other events. They got the Tough Mudder coming up this year and a music festival, and then a bike race too. So we got to schedule our work in between all of those events. And speaking of MIS, typically they used to have a traffic control meeting in April to go over all of the issues with their races and the road projects and all of that. And Barry Gibson says, well, we're not going to do that anymore. So I just sent him my memo of our construction schedule for the year and when the projects were going to start and when they were going to end. So they're going to put that on their web page for people to access. Leone Township, been working with Carl on our TAP grant with DLZ, and we prepared some options on how to design Fifth Street. They're looking for a grant to go along with our Category F grant that we received here a little while ago to repave Fifth Street. So they are looking for some beautification issues, and that includes bike lanes and benches and lights and all those other good things. And so we're looking at a way to design that, whether you're going to have parking on both sides, one side, bike lanes, angle parking, a lot of other issues. And we had a conference call with MDOT here last month, and then we just had a meeting Thursday, Carl. And so we're continuing on with that. The West Michigan Avenue Bridge, of course, has been a stickler for a long time. Representative Pulaski and Senator Knopfler sent letters from the village of Parma and Parma Township about looking into some funding for that bridge. We did include it on our application form that was due the 1st of May. So hopefully, if we get funding, that's a very expensive bridge. It's probably in the $4 million range. And even at a 5% match from the locals, that's a significant amount of money, and that comes out of the large bridge program. It would be nice. I think we almost would have had it last year, so maybe one more year of anticipation here will make that come true. And then we've been working on our TIP projects for the new TIP 2014 to 2017. We got some Horton Road in there, Boardman Road, O'Neill Drive, Robinson Road, and then Fifth Street. It was in the TIP, but now we can take that out because we got Category F funding, and then we can put in another project for that. And we've also been working on our outlying TIP years in our rural areas. So we're looking at, of course, Jefferson Road is the big project next year from 127 to the village of Brooklyn. Of course, that's good news. The bad news is there isn't enough money there to do what we want to do. We were looking at cold milling and repaving or crushing and shaping, and those were probably $400,000 to $500,000 more than what we had. So we're looking at how much heavy wedging we can do out there, and maybe double chip seal that and fog seal, get some new pavement markings down there. Our superintendent went out and he debermed a lot of that road last year to help with the drainage. So I think that will certainly be a huge improvement to that, because I was guessing maybe about 6,000 tons of asphalt out there. So we've been doing some bridge inspections. We're still a little behind. First it was too doggone cold, and then it was too doggone rainy, and the river was too high to get under the bridge. So we're a little late on some of those. We did 8, Francis Street, Park Road, Stonewall Road, Badgley Road, Hinckley Boulevard, Draper Road, Meridian Road, and South Street. And we got about 20 more to go. And I'd like to get finished up on those probably in the next week or two. And then we've initiated a CART meeting, C-A-R-T. It's a corridor alignment review team with 6 members of MDOT and 6 locals, and Commissioner Rice and Commissioner Elwell are on that committee. And we're just having a lot of kumbaya with MDOT here on that 9-mile I-94 corridor, the study there from Sargent Road to M60. And of course, that TIP amendment for the $3.5 million deck replacement on 127 was turned down, and we're looking for a little olive branch from our good friends at MDOT, and we're still waiting, I think. But there was a meeting Friday that was not very well attended by us, so I'm not sure of the results of that, Dave. The Culvert Road, Kalmbach Road culvert is complete now. That's been closed for over a year, and we had a contractor remove that, and then our crews installed a new timber bridge, so that is open to the public. And there's just another variety of things here with abandonments and site condos that people want us to take over, and one is not real good, and they're looking to see if they can get a street assessment from the county here to hire a contractor to do this work. It was built in 2007 and not to our standards. I've sent a number of emails and letters back to a number of people that have tried to take over the homeowners association. They got a lot of work to do out there. It's going to cost a lot of money, and so they were just thinking that maybe they could be assessed and pay it over a number of years. So I'm not sure what that answer is yet. We'll find out. And that's about all.
Commissioners, any questions? Dave?
I should have driven over to Kalmbach Road, but your note says that it's 5 feet by 6 feet?
Yeah.
Is it as wide as the road? What is the 5? What's 5
That's
by
the
6?
diameter of the culvert.
5 feet high and 6 feet wide.
The culvert itself.
The culvert itself, all right.
Yes.
Joe, who's going to cover the next action item? I believe it's the street sweeping. Okay.
Chuck Waltz, Road Department. I've kind of come unprepared. This is the first one I've come to. Adam graciously helped me with the board docs here a while ago, but street sweeping, we put out 2 bidders and we only had 1 bid. The road department does not have equipment or staff to do it themselves. That's why this one's here.
Chuck, is it unusual to get just 1 bid back like that, and how did we advertise it?
In something like this, yeah, the state requires us to advertise in 3 different places. So we advertise on CRAM's website, County Road Association of Michigan. We advertise with a paper, and we advertised on our website. And that's all we got back. I think I sent out 4, if memory serves me right, 4 different bidders. Them are all attached, the bid list is all attached to the board docs. No, not something like that. That takes a lot of work because they've got to close down one lane of 94 up against that wall. So that takes a lot of personnel and a lot of work. We could do it if we had equipment to do it, but we don't have that specific broom anymore to do that with.
Okay, Mike?
How does this price compare to prior years?
About the same, yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, about the same.
Okay, we'd be looking for a motion, and it appears that Santa Sweep, Chuck, out of Grand Rapids, was only bidder. Looking for a motion.
I'll make that motion to award the bid to Santa Sweep for $10,670.
A motion and support. Questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. I've got 20, yep. Okay, next up is the JC Dot sodium chloride bid. Chuck, you're back.
Yep, that's rock salt. That's what we use in the winter time. We had a big pile that we bid a few years ago, and that whole pile is gone, and it forced us to rebid again. If memory serves me right, we're about $4 a ton less than we were 3 years ago, at $48 a ton now.
Okay, any questions from Commissioners? Julie?
If you could just help me to understand, now this is not the same product that we use on the state lines, correct?
It is the same product, but it's a different bid. The state bids it themselves. We don't bid it for the state. But it is the same thing, salt, that's used in the winter to melt snow and ice. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, but my understanding was in the past it was a different product used on state line versus county lines.
No. There's several different, or not several, but there's a few different things we use for ice control. We use a liquid chloride that we put in the back of our tanks that we pre-wet our salt with, but everybody still uses salt. There's not another solution or another product out there that'll take care of snow and ice like salt will. The state now is going out 24 hours before a storm, like on 94, they did the full length of 94, and they put down a liquid chloride, a pre-wetting chloride, and all that did was it prevents the snow and ice from hard packing on that pavement, and it makes it easier for that to be scraped off. But we still use rock salt. There's no alternative to rock salt.
Okay, and then do you make this available for sale to other municipalities or schools?
Yep, the schools come and get it, some of the villages come and get it, yes we do.
Okay.
Okay, looking for a motion, and it looks like the recommendation is Detroit Salt Company with their bid.
I'll make that motion.
Support. Motion and support. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Chuck, you've got one more thing, looks like, the catch basin cleaning bid.
Yep, catch basin cleaning. This is the first time the state has bid out their catch basin cleaning. The county has never bid out their catch basin cleaning. And the reason we bid it out this year is because we don't have a catch basin cleaner because of the cost of it. It's a very expensive outfit. Last year we rented one, a catch basin cleaner to clean catch basins, and it costed us about $63,000 for that machine for 6 months. On top of that, it was another $41,000 that we used in labor for this. Being all brand new with this year, I sit down with the two gentlemen that cleaned catch basins last year. We kind of got a rough estimate of 800 basins that we're going to clean. So if you take the 800 basins and do the math, like I said, I come kind of unprepared. I didn't realize this is what was going to happen. I'm shooting off the top of my head. There's a significant savings here. Plus, we don't have the personnel anymore or the equipment to go out and do this. I'm figuring we put in 800 basins. I'm figuring maybe 1,200 basins that we're going to try to do. We're going to split the county up in 3 phases. We're going to do all the 4 lanes, all the 3 lanes, and then next year we hope to do 1/3 of the county, this year do 1/3 of the county, and try to split the county up in 3 different ways. So it'll be a little bit better, more of a cost saving for the county.
Thank you, Chuck. Looks like 3 different companies, only 2 gave bids, looks like,
Yes,
and M&K Jetting is a recommendation. It's good to see they're a Jackson company, and we're significantly lower in each year, looks like. So we'd be looking for a motion for approval for the contract with M&K Jetting and Televising. Motion and support. Questions or comments? Julie?
If I may, thank you for the clarification. This is very new to me. This is not my everyday walk of life here. It's mandatory that it's recommended. It's mandatory that we clean our basins.
It's more of a recommendation, and more of the recommendations coming from the DEQ, because some of our catch basins drain directly into the Grand River, right into our main watershed system. So the DEQ is pretty much not mandating it, but they're asking us. If you talk to Jeff Snyder also through the Drain Commission, they're recommending that we do this. And frankly, we want to protect our water system too, and the Great Lakes. There's Jeff could answer that better, but how many millions of tons of soil erosion, this is one of the causes for it, goes into that drain system that drains into the Great Lakes that fills that up. It's tons. I went to one of Jeff's meetings once, and it totally surprised me how many tons of sediment coming from our catch basins, soil erosion, goes into Lake Michigan.
So where does all of this sediment, after you collect it, where do you take it?
In the bid, I mimicked the bid from the State Highway Department. We used to bring it right to the county road department and dump it in a pile. Because the DEQ has stipulations on there, there's antifreeze running in these catch basins, there's oil running in these catch basins. It has to go to a Class 2 landfill, so we're not even going to allow them to bring it into the road department and stockpile it. They have to find their own stockpile, and then from there it'll more than likely go down to Liberty.
How often do you have to do this?
Our 4 lanes are all our main roads, like Airport Road, Wildwood Road, Francis Street, etc. We try to do them once, maybe even twice a year. We're a little bit slow this year. I just got the bids handed to me. We should have had them out a couple months ago, so our spring rains wouldn't have let the winter sand that we use get into the drain system. So next year we'll bid it a lot sooner than what we are now. But we try to do it once, if not twice, on the main roads.
Okay, you said this is getting split up, so is the whole county getting done over 3 years?
We're going to try.
Or
we're going to try.
You can't get it all done in 1 year?
No,
I mean, when you rented it before, were you able to do the whole county?
No, not even close.
Okay.
There's 7,000, almost 8,000 catch basins in Jackson County, and them are only the ones we know of where they are. We're finding them all the time in subdivisions and backyards that was put in years ago that we don't even have any plans for that drainage. We're going out and doing a lot of exploring, and we're finding them, and we're putting them on GIS so we know where they are. But no, we can't even come close to 1 year. We're going to be lucky, to be honest with you, Sarah, to do a 3-year program and make it work because of the amount of catch basins.
Chuck, city does their own, and villages typically do their own also, unless they're contracting with somebody.
We do some of the villages. They'll pay us for them on some of them, but typically, yes, the city does their own. Right now, we're contracting with the city. If we got basins or a tile line that needs to be cleaned, the city comes out and do it. City's charging us almost $200 an hour for this machine.
Thank you, Chuck. Also noteworthy, there was an article this weekend in either the Free Press or the CITPAT about this exact thing over in Lake St. Clair and catch basins that have sediment and things running into the canals, plugging them up. So, interesting article. Any other questions or comments? We have a motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
You're done. Thanks.
Thank you.
Brandon. Parks biannual report.
Good morning.
Morning.
Can I just minimize this down? Won't blow up on me or anything? Okay, I will try to keep it brief. I know you had a lot to take on today, but just want to give you a brief update on what's been happening in the parks over the past several months. Last time we talked to you in November, just want to bring back to your attention some of the things that we accomplished in 2012. I've got some photos of some of these projects later on in the presentation, but just wanted to bring these up so that I remind you of what's happened the last year or so. Big thing, obviously, the Cascade study and the concept design. Want to point that out especially. And some great projects we had. Well, one down in Liberty Township I've got some photos of. And we spent a lot of time at the Lime Lake this past winter working on a shoreline stabilization project. Thought we had that one almost put to bed, but you'll see shortly that we do not. So, this is our shoreline stabilization project, gone wrong. It actually wasn't gone wrong. It was done per the spec. As you know, we had a very wet spring, very difficult situations as far as working. I had this, you can see the netting from the soil erosion blanket over on the left side of the screen. So we had this done. We had the fill put in place, and we had it seeded. Actually had some decent vegetation starting to grow. The pressure from the water and the very high levels of water that we had at Lime Lake just put so much pressure on it that it blew it right out. So, frustrating to say the least on our part. You may recall, this project has been tough for us. We had it all set to take a skid steer or a bobcat in to do the work. The conditions did not hold up well enough through the wetland as far as a frozen ground. So we actually resorted to taking in a wheelbarrow, the lime marl that we filled the ditch in with per the DEQ permit. So you can imagine hauling in about 30 yards of material with wheelbarrows, and then to go out there and see this, that's a little disheartening to say the least. But we are stepping back, working with the engineering firm, coming up with Plan B, as they say, and we'll be working with the DEQ to see what we can do to fix the situation out here at Lime Lake. For those of you that aren't familiar with the project, basically it's a lake level issue. There are springs out there at Lime Lake with the 3 Lime Lakes. Supposed to run from, the flow goes from south, or the biggest lake, to the north lake, and then through culvert systems runs back to a 3rd lake, and then out through the Sandstone Creek watershed. The problem is with this, as you see it on this photo, the water is going straight from the south lake to the 3rd small lake, and then leaving the system, kind of starving the north lake and screwing up our water levels. So this is a view of the south lake. You see our temporary dam that we have there. When I went out to visit the site and found it, we had about 3 or 4 inches coming over the top of our dam there. So very high water levels cause some serious problems. On a brighter note, this is our Round Lake County Park, Liberty Township, as you recall, purchased the materials, and we put the labor in and came out with what we think is a really nice product. We haven't had a picnic shelter here at this park since the mid-70s when a tornado took out the existing one back then. So been well used and very well received by the community down there. I've heard a lot of positive feedback. So great partnership project there with Liberty. So looking forward to our 2013. We continue to work on our trail connector, which comes along slowly. As you know, it's a state grant, and we have a lot of bureaucracy to work through with that. It is coming along nicely, and we're still on schedule with that. We're very excited that the Parks Association has donated money to help us with an upgrade to our lights at Cascades, and we will be unveiling those here in a couple weeks, Memorial Day weekend. So if you want to save that date for us, that would be great. Love to have all you folks out for just a very brief ceremony to recognize the Parks Association for their generosity in that project. That's converting to an LED system. It is not a major fix, but we think it's an improvement for the short term. And the exciting thing for me is that this is a system that could be transferred down the road to the falls if we were able to do a major project. So it's a plug-and-go system, so it's stuff you can pull off the shelf. Much easier to work on, much easier to find parts for. As you know, we have major problems with that at the falls, finding parts with the stuff that we've been working with that's 30, 40, and up to 80 years old. So Swains Lake restroom, we were working on engineering for that and looking to tear that building down at the end of this camping season. And next spring, we will have a new restroom in place at Swains Lake. As you recall, that's a 30-year-old building and on its last legs. Very excited about that project. You may have saw in the paper that the Flowering Tree Project is up and moving, and Stan Mazer heads that up with the Northwest Kiwanis Club. They have made pretty good progress on selling some trees, and we are working hand in hand with Stan and the city to find proper placement for trees. We're very wary of exactly where these trees are going, what kind of trees they are they going to survive in the environment that they're being put in, with road salt and all these things to take into consideration. So, like I said, very close eye on where we're putting the trees as to the fact that we don't want to interrupt with park use as well. So here's some of the lights for the falls. You see the round ones up in the upper right. Those are the new fountain lights, which are about the third of the size of the original fountain lights that were removed. So just amazing to see what technology has done. You see down in the lower half of the screen the three ropes in those bands there. Those are red, blue, green bands. And so you'll see here in the next slides that's kind of our test setup down in the falls control room. So we're very excited to have this come to be. So with that, I'd take any questions you may have.
Commissioners, any questions? Phil?
Could you tell me what you're going to be doing at Vineyard Lake this year?
Yeah, Vineyard Lake, our goal is to get a restroom in there. It's been a slow process, but we've put the new structure in. We've put some new picnic stations, as we call them, in. So our next thing would be to put a modern restroom in there.
Will that happen this year yet?
I'm hopeful that, I have to get with the engineer to see, we're going to be tight on budget. So what I'm looking for really is to see if we can get some in-kind donations as far as contractors. That would be a huge help. So that's one stone I got to turn over.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you.
Next up, I think we've got your Parks Department batwing mower bid.
Yes, there's a report in your packet. Parks Board recommends approval of a 15-foot cut woods tow-behind unit from Deer Creek Sales. They were the low bid, and that is off a state My Deal base bid.
Looking for a motion? Motion and support. Brandon, what happens with the old one? I see you're talking about the maintenance of it. Is that one you're going to keep as reserve or get rid of? Or?
Yeah, we're doing some mowing for the facilities. Parks just made sense. That's kind of our business. Parks took over a lot of the mowing of the facilities recently. I think we mentioned that last couple months. We're debating whether we want to put a little bit of money into it. This is a unit that is not so bad that it has to just be shipped down the road or sent out for scrap. It is definitely usable, so we're debating on the merits of keeping it, putting a little bit of money into it, using it 4 or 5 hours down here at the fair instead of trying to mow those bigger chunks of ground with smaller units. So we're discussing the options right now.
Okay. No other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Okay.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you.
We've got a more detailed Item on the agenda for the Parks Board composition. Mike, did you want to cover this, or? Brandy, can you come back up and address the Parks Board composition proposal that's in the packet?
Yeah, in your packet, talks about the composition of the Parks Board. As you know, with the elimination of the County Road Commission, we have, per our public act that we're organized under, we have a seat that is dedicated for a road commission designee, the chair of the road commission or designee. Obviously, with that gone, we need to make adjustments accordingly. I have done some research into other places that no longer have road commissions. They typically have made that a public appointee seat, and that is what the Parks Board is recommending at this point.
Okay, so Brandon, if we forward this with a recommendation to do that, we don't have a recommendation on who it is yet. It's just to make it a public seat.
Correct.
I assume we'll fill it afterwards.
Yeah, that would be the assumption and the recommendation.
Okay. Questions from commissioners? It's pretty well laid out.
I think there's one over here.
Dave.
Could this be a commissioner, though?
It could be, yes. Those are, I tried to cover that in alternatives, that it should be a public appointee seat, but that could be a commissioner or it could be a public. That is correct. The act stipulates we can't have more than 3 commissioners. We can have 1 to 3 commissioners.
Okay, well, Mr. Chairman, do you think with the wording of the recommendation that leaves us that ability? Okay. Okay, any other questions from the left side of the table?
I think maybe just for clarification, because I'm hearing questions here, down here. Currently, how many commissioners serve on the Parks Board? My answer was, it was 3, it is now 2. Would that be correct?
Very soon to be 2, that is correct. Currently, we have 2 county commissioners that are appointed through the process. Gail Mahoney is currently our Region 2 representative, which is also in process of changing because the act stipulates if the county has a county planning commission, which up until very recently we did not, the default would be to go to a Region 2 designee, which right now is Gail Mahoney. So with the startup of the Planning Commission, that seat, an appointee from there will supersede the Region 2 appointment. So the Region 2 appointment will go away, and our County Planning Commission representative will start up. Clear as mud, right?
Clear as mud there. Phil.
Brandon, the donation for the Cascade Parks light system, who did that, or do they wish to remain anonymous?
That's our County Parks Association, which is a volunteer group that helps us with volunteer work projects, and they have some funds set aside with the Community Foundation. They're a longtime partner with us to help us with projects.
Okay, I always like to make that public if I can when somebody steps forward and
Absolutely.
Helps us out. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if everybody's clear on this, we'd be looking for a motion to recommend to the full board. Okay. And it'll be to convert the former JCRC Parks Commission seat into a 3-year public appointment with a first term expiring December 31st of 14. Is there a second to Dave's motion? Motion and support. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thanks, Brendan.
Thank you.
Okay, we're up to, as soon as it opens, Parks Board member resignation. Brandon, this one's got your name on it too. It's a new exercise program.
I'll bring my coffee.
And this appears to be mainly informational, Brandon. right?
Yeah, I think this one's pretty well straightforward. We just had a resignation on the board, and that'll be a vacancy, and that'll be back to this committee. That'll be posted, and hopefully we have some great apps, and we can go through the appointment process next month.
Thanks, Brandon.
You have some?
All right.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Julie.
Do we need a motion to accept this resignation with regret?
I don't think so. That would not be to us, or would it? No.
Okay.
Any other questions? Brandon, thank you. Promise I won't call you again.
I'm gonna hold
Today.
Okay.
Today. Equalization. Anybody here from the Equalization Department? Mike, you want to cover this?
This is your...
And we'd be looking to approve this to send on to the full board for action?
Correct.
It's pretty self-explanatory. And looking for a motion. Motion and support. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Moving on to claims. Looking for a motion. Don't everybody jump at once.
Yes, they have gone through, and there is an initial on one of them.
Okay.
Yes. I'll make a motion to pay the claims.
Motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. You have minutes from other committees, including the Parks Board reporting schedule for June, and we're up to public comments. Hello, public. A lot of county staff here, one reporter. Any comments, Lisa? Okay. Committee member comments. Hearing none. We are adjourned.